Welcome to Spain, Poco A
Our
Poco.
very first one. So excited.
It's very exciting. So exciting.
So, what did we decide to do first? We are going to talk about the Jardín del Turia, or the Garden of the Turia, or the Turia Gardens in Valencia.
And as the Valencianos who live in the city call it, the river.
Oh, I'm outside of the city, so I call it the Turia Gardens. Is that incorrect? Let's start there.
No, that's correct. But it took me a while. When I first moved here, everyone's like, "Oh, we'll meet you at the river," and I'm like,
What?
"Oh, the park. There's no river anymore. There's nary a drop of water to be found except in a fountain."
Well, and if we go back in history, it wasn't ever really a river, was it? It's
It
a
was
river
more of
bed,
a
but it wasn't.
riverbed. Yeah,
Let's go down to the river and like float around in it. I don't think it was that type of thing.
they weren't navigating the river with sails
There you go.
and
Well,
ships.
that's a good
Yes.
point because most port cities that have a river, and that is a big part of the port and getting things from the port of on the sea inland and stuff. So if Valencia didn't have that,
Exactly.
that's different.
Yeah, our river is, or what was the river,
Hmm.
was always more of a riverbed. It was a watershed. Is that the word that you're looking for? That when the rains come, that was the natural riverbed that would take the water out to sea.
Are you making
And
me fact check immediately on the very first second of our very first Poco A Poco on what a watershed is?
no, I'm going to go with watershed. I'm going to go with the
Because I feel like a
watershed.
watershed is a larger area, but let's just go with that for now.
Well, this is because it goes all the way inland where it starts. It starts up in the Universales
Hmm.
is where the river is where it starts, and
Near the
um,
Teruel province. That's a really hard
yes,
town for me to pronounce. I have to say, I'm sure I butchered it. It's a beautiful town. The my daughter did a trip there from school and learned all sorts of amazing things up there, and it's definitely a place was worth visiting. So up from that area all the way down to the Mediterranean.
right. So it collects all the water,
Hmm.
hence the watershed all the way
All the way
down.
down.
But by the time it makes it here, a lot of the water is, I guess, disappeared because it doesn't rain a lot in these areas. So, but um, they also would use in history have been using that water. They had diverted the water as well for irrigation and stuff. So
Oh,
I
that's
don't know
true.
if
So
you've
there
ever had a
wasn't. Yeah. So
chance.
there
Yeah.
very much was a riverbed. So they were it was had multiple purposes. Like you could go down and maybe wash your clothes in a little bit of a stream that might have been going down the middle, or they had it as like a place to sell animals, or have maybe even shacks. People might have lived in certain areas around it. I mean, it was an active sort of
It
town
was part of
place.
the city life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I've seen pictures of it, and it's pretty cool. You've
Yeah.
seen like these horses grazing down there, and people kind of like living their lives in
Yeah.
the riverbed. And then, unfortunately, when it would rain, I think they,
Well, I hope they got out quickly.
hope they got out.
Speaking of
But
which, and that was how it became a park, which was a massive flood. I mean, that came in what year was that?
1957 was the
1957.
was the Great Flood of
October
Valencia.
14th, 1957. And that changed the course of the river. You like
Yes,
that?
that was, and the course of
And the course
history.
of history. Yes.
So what happened is that 81 people lost their lives. Tons of buildings were destroyed. If you see pictures from that time too, the whole city is underwater
Devastating. Yeah.
and devastating. And so they wanted to divert the river south of the city so this wouldn't be an
So
issue.
to be clear, it overflowed and flooded that part at the main part of the city right there.
Right. And pretty much all of the
Yeah.
city that was a much smaller city
Yeah,
back
that's true.
then. And so they decided to divert it, and so that was in the 50s, and that was completed in 1969, the diversion of the river, of the water. But the park was not on the drawing board. They wanted to originally make it like a transit corridor, a thoroughfare to like put a highway through and
Yeah,
train
that seems
lines through.
logical, right? To use it like that. Because it's like
Yeah, it
it's
was already
there waiting to be a
it's there.
road, basically, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. But then I guess there was during this time the community was fighting, and they said it was theirs and they wanted a green space, and the city doesn't have a lot of green space, so it was a wise
Hmm.
protest movement, I guess.
And
And
what a beautiful
the
green space it is. And it runs through the whole city. So no matter where you live in the city, and Valencia is quite a small city. If you're in walking-ish distance to it, I would imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a and it what I love about it is that it winds through the city, so it's accessible by so many neighborhoods,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like it works its way through, so you're always near it, and it's really utilized by the city. I mean, any day of the week, it's busy.
Yeah.
They are utilizing that part.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cultural and activities elements there. You have the City of the Arts and Sciences. You have the Oceanographic right there as well. Museums. I mean, the music. I think it's a what's the music?
Well, there's the Palau de
Yes,
Musica,
which
which
is
is
right
further
there.
up,
Yep.
which isn't part of the City of Arts and Science, which is like the Symphony Hall. And then the City of Arts and
Mm-hmm.
Sciences is that whole structure that was designed by Calatrava,
Yep.
that has the Science Museum, Oceanographic, the Hemisphere, the Opera House,
Yeah, and Santiago
all of.
Calatrava was a Valencian-born designer, and he also designed some of the bridges across the
Yeah,
Turia.
he.
And also you have which is probably one of the most famous bridges, I think, really is the Puente de las Flores, which is the Bridge of Flowers.
That's your
That's
favorite
my
bridge.
favorite one. It's just so pretty. I see more photos of that one because it's so pretty, but obviously other ones are more architecturally interesting, I think.
Right. I mean, it is a gorgeous bridge, and it's so beautiful to walk
It
along with
is.
those thousands upon thousands of geraniums
Mm-hmm.
blooming year
It's
round.
so pretty.
Um,
And then,
but my
yeah.
favorite bridge is, I think it's Puente del Mar. I think is the name
Okay.
of it. That's the one. It's a walking bridge, so it's the one from like 1500, and there's these gorgeous statues on it too of like Mary and saints
Oh,
and
nice.
religious things that I'm not really well versed on, so can't fact check that one because I'm not my history.
Now, this is a whole other episode if we're going to get into bridges. But they did design. I think they gave because the Toria Park, as I'm going to call it, the river is very very long. So they gave, I think, they sort of cut it into sort of sections and gave each section to a different designer to build something. So there's each part like
Right.
there's I want this place for kids. I mean, there's you could ride your bike all the way up and down it, but each section has different sort of elements and water features. And then there's Gulliver's Park, which is great for kids.
Which is this huge monstrosity of Gulliver laying down on the ground, and you get to climb it like
Yeah,
you're the
and it
Lilliputians, which I
has,
think
and
is.
so he's kind of coming out of the ground, kind of. I mean, it's really cool. It's got these massive slides, and those slides, by the way, do be careful. They're made. They're like 80s metal slides, right? So they get hot, 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 hot.
Hot, yes,
So
because it's also painted black and dark green.
so we've had some kids get some burns. So if you're going to take your kids there, dress fully, no matter the weather. No shorts, no
Jeans,
shorts.
definitely jeans.
It's a hazard, but it's so much fun. Just as long as you're dressed properly for it, so much fun. And yeah.
So, and what I read is that it's like over 8 kilometers long, and it's where it kind of officially starts is where the biopark is, which is the
Oh,
zoo
well,
of the
yeah, my
city.
favorite place.
That
Yeah.
and that starts there, and I guess the sea level there is like 19 meters above sea level, and then when it gets down to the City of Arts and Sciences, it's only 1 meter above sea level. So it kind of,
Okay, that's
for
good
a
to
very
know.
flat city, there is an incline, decline,
Decline. There's a
whatever.
decline, which so if you're going to ride your bike, start at the bottom and go up, and then ride your bike down.
Yeah, don't do the reverse.
Otherwise, you might find yourself at the arts and sciences and like, I can't make it back.
And right now, the City of Arts and Sciences is the eastern terminus of the park, but they're actually extending it. So they're
Oh,
they're adding more. They want to bring it all the way to the
that
port.
would be
And I
awesome.
guess they want that. There's like 26, 27 as they want like phase one of that done. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's a phase two, which is still going through a lot of planning because it's like kind of reclaiming old farmland and
Oh, I see. Yeah.
dilapidated. And then also kind of figuring out how they're gonna make that area,
Yeah.
urbanize that area as well in conjunction with making the green
That would be
space
really
as
nice
well.
because I feel like it's a really nice place to ride your bike down. There's no cars or anything, so you can ride your bike down. If you could get all the way to the water from there, that would
Yeah.
be, I can see how that would be like really really appealing. And there's tons of places. I mean, I've gone down there and had picnics on numerous occasions. There's tons of green grass to sit and have picnics, and you can, I mean, just watch your kids run around, take your dog for a walk, whatever.
There's beautiful shaded areas. There's a pine forest in it. There's a palm tree forest. There's an orange grove. And then there's all these like pools, different reflecting pools. And then under some of the bridges, they have like built pools under there. So you kind of get the feeling of it being still a river, right? You
Oh,
get
I
that kind of
see.
homage to
Homage, I
homage,
was gonna say
homage,
an homage.
an homage to what was
Yeah.
once there. but I think I think it's pretty wonderful.
Oh yeah, I think I've been there on several occasions and loved, and from different parts, like popped in over here and down there, and it's always been like a really nice little getaway in the city, I think.
I'll just maybe end this little
Hmm.
tidbit with my little fun fact. My introduction to the
I'm gonna
park
say
was
you're gonna
right when we
end this
first.
Poco a Poco.
Poco a Poco is going to endo. I don't know. Is that when we first moved here in July was July Fest, which is a huge festival in July,
Wow.
hence July
Okay.
Festival. Yeah, fact check that one I did. And
You're so smart.
so there's all these activities and concerts around
Hmm.
the city, but in the park they have the carnival, which I know you've been
The
to as well. But
medieval one we've been to.
oh, you haven't been to the carnival with the slides and the rides and
I
the Ferris
don't think
wheels
so.
and
Just the medieval one where they have the festival and the food and the little stands and things. They do a lot
no,
down
so they
there.
have a
Yeah.
carnival with like cotton candy and haunted
Oh, don't
houses
tell
and bumper
Zena.
cars and all these things. And that was right when we
Oh
moved
my
here. Like we walked
gosh.
around, and we saw these like Ferris wheels or some I don't know something that went. Yeah, there was a Ferris wheel and then some rides that I won't go on because it was carnival rides.
Yeah.
And but so that was like we first moved here. We moved to this magical place with this fair, and it lasts
I
all the
love
month of
that.
July. And it's a great way to escape the heat of the city
Yeah. But
and
what a great
have
way
some
to
fun.
land and just feel like, oh my God, they threw us a party.
It really was.
Well, like, yeah,
We went like five
of
times, and
course,
I've spent
yeah.
a lot of money for one stuffed animal.
Yes,
You
well, we all
know?
know how carnivals are. So yeah, they do a lot
Yes,
there, and I think that pretty much puts a cap on basically what we know about the Turia Park.
or the river. Well, we hope you enjoyed this little episode, and we're gonna have more. We're gonna do these every week.
So enjoy, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you for listening to Our Spain Poco a Poco. Since you love us so much, please do go on to our social media and follow us and like us and subscribe where you're listening, because it really does help us to grow and stick around and do what we are very much enjoying doing.
And give us a shout out on the social medias. Give us a comment on what you would like to hear us talk about. I mean, we like to hear ourselves speak, but we do want to make this, informative for our listeners.
Absolutely, yeah. You can comment on one of our posts, or you can send us a message through our Spain Facebook page or Instagram. So we would love to hear from you.
Yes, we would. Till the next episode.
Bye.